Welcome to episode 29 of the Global Exclusive Podcast. I'm your host, Hazard. Joining me this week, as always, is Barros, Cotton, Dream, Muspel, and Shado. And this week, we're going to be talking about the Final Fantasy XII units, the new Shinryu trial, and some game mechanics we'd like to see. Muspel's got our sponsor this week.
This week, the Global Exclusive Podcast is sponsored by Paladin Cecil's throbbing viability. Every single magic tank tries to measure up to Cecil, but with his long, luxurious hair and his manly pecs, just nobody can even come close to what he brings to the table. He's the total package.
Wait, Cecil is a dude?
Oh my god.
Correct. No, he's a homeless spaceman. Everyone knows this.
Of all the people to make that sort of sponsor, it had to be Muspel.
He really is just like Kuja.
No, but
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's a bit of a shame when you have this unit that has everything, and then every other magic tank is compared to it, but like no other magic tank has everything.
Until we get like a pair of summer waifus
Yeah.
who just
gosh.
shit on
Oh
everything.
god.
I'm not looking forward to that. Actually, it's funny, as I was thinking of another sponsor for this week, and it's the weird things that people say in their in-game messages. And I think the one that's most common and also makes zero sense to me is the one where they name off the 5 units in their friends list, like in their friend slots. So they'll be like Elena, Zenaida, Event, Cecil. Like, who is that helping? Because if you have friends, they can just look at your friends
When you're going
list.
through your friends list and trying to figure out who to delete, you know who it is, because you can only see the one in favorites on the friends list.
Right, but
Well,
why would you delete someone over what friend they have up at the current time? Or what? Or
Unless
for that
it's
matter, why would
Nexus.
you add someone? Well, Nexus needs to be deleted from everyone's friends list, but that's a different story. I'm just wondering, like, I just don't see the point of it.
Isn't
in the
that just
first
a
place.
thing that survived from the old age? Like when you could only have
I
one
think
friend
that's it.
unit, you would name you would name your rotation in your friend message, kind of like, hey,
I used to do that, but when I do it, I'll say like what the unit is geared for. So like I would say Emperor Zeno or something, because I had
Let's
a
be
Xeno that was
honest,
geared for Emperor.
who even reads the friend messages?
I hope Gumi's reading mine because it says "Release CG Ramza, you cowards."
I think that like there are only
that's-
two
and that's true.
places
Global
where you read
exclusive
someone's.
podcast.
I mean, there are only two places where you read someone's message. One of them is if you face them in arena, and the second one is if you're actively looking for friends through the search system in game.
And
Nobody
who on
does
earth
that,
does that? Nobody.
I've done that.
That's
I've
what I'm
done
saying,
that.
it just seems so
I've done
pointless
that
to me.
twice. I did it first after Freyevia was released. I had to like find Freyevia friends, so I did that.
So
then.
this was like 4 years ago.
Yes, you've used this feature twice in 4 years.
Yeah, like
Well, that's what you guys are
false.
saying is this is an old thing, I think, that has just managed to stick around where back in the Freyevia era, when you only had like 1 or maybe 2 good units, you wanted to advertise them in your message so that people would add you. But nowadays, it's like, who cares what 5 units you've got? Everyone knows you've got event units up in slot 1 and 2, because that's what they say, event units.
And while we're on the topic of the banner, let's move on to Ashe.
Because I've immediately gone on a real fucking random tangent.
Yeah,
I just
Nothing
want
unusual
someone
to
to
see
explain to
here.
me. Someone in the
Thanks,
Reddit
Hazard.
post, please explain to me why you're putting the name of 5 of your units in your message. Thank you.
Maybe
All right,
it's an
let's move on
e-beam
to
thing.
Ashe.
Maybe you just want to let people know that you have like a lot of rainbows. Maybe I should just put the name of every rainbow I have in my friend message.
I feel like that's what people are trying to do, but they ran out of space. Although I swear, if you have like Korean or some of these other Asian languages, you can fit like an entire novel into your message. Have you seen these things?
Yeah.
They're like
Yeah.
4 lines long, and there's like 1 billion symbols, and you could tell a whole story in your message board.
I mean, that's why, like in all Final Fantasies, all the items are shittily named in English because they ran out of characters. So, like, it's a Phoenix Divn.
Anyways,
I'm-
Ashe.
All right, now we can dedicate a perfect amount of time to Ashe,
Yeah,
who has ruined the
like
game.
a whole 2 minutes or something.
Oh,
Let's see.
Ashe.
Ashe?
I think of her as Ashe, not Ash.
It's
It's Ash.
Oh god.
I want to say
They pronounce the name
Ashe?
Ash in the fucking game.
No, it's Ashy.
almost every single week. almost every single week we complain about boring damage dealers. Ashe is not a boring damage dealer. She's not a good one, but she's not boring. She has some utility that's actually like kind of interesting. Like she can do an AoE barrier. She can give herself 90% magic mitigation on demand. So if there's a boss that does like big magic AoEs every other turn or something, Ashe would be incredible for that fight. Like better than Schwen.
Who isn't better than Schwen these
The
days?
problem is that the MP cost on that ability is absolutely fucking insane.
Was it 500 MP, was it?
529.
529. I think you would basically need 2 copies of Soul's STMR if you wanted to use that regularly, or something like that. I don't know. Maybe... I think
Even her
Rivera's
regular
STMR might
chaining
work.
is actually quite MP intensive, because her like main damage turn comes from using the 3 skills that she unlocks with like her cooldowns, and you use them in like a combo and they mod boost each other, but it's like 400 MP and 15 limit crystals to actually use the combo, so it's quite intensive because you want to be using it every 3rd turn, really.
And unfortunately, the damage doesn't really reward you for it. Because, like...
Yeah, she does...
If she did
about half
Kuja
as much
levels of damage, people would use it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Of course.
Her burst is like Kuja's average.
Another thing I want to point
She
out
does
is
have-
that she has 300% innate TDH, which is good because most mages have problems with gearing for that kind of thing. But she really wants to use a sword, which is not a great place for mages because all of the mage weapons with killers are rods, and also a lot of the materia makes you use a rod. So you're either giving up some magic because you're using a rod instead of a sword, or you're giving up magic because you're not using the mage rod and getting those passives from other stuff.
The obvious choice is to use Kurosame's STMR.
Yeah.
The other option she has is she can completely forgo all her equipment magic, gutting her damage even further for some defensive passives with a shield. So that's an option.
Yeah, I don't know why that's there. I guess it does add
Is
like
Aurora Fravius? Sorry.
it does add a decent amount of bulk, but it's not great.
I mean, and like...
Yeah, I
do you
don't know
want to
what
have her
Aelin was-
damage to just survive a trial? I don't know if that's relative. Or...
So you're telling me
Aelin-
that Aelin has no idea what they're doing yet again?
Exactly.
designing the unit? Okay, but what about
Wait,
Aurora
no, I don't
Fravius,
agree, Hazard.
STMR? Hold on, just let me ask this question,
Okay.
then you can destroy me.
Let me just quickly look up how much magic it has, because I do not have it.
I think it's 140 and 160 attack, if I remember right. But
It's only 120 magic, so it's like
it's 120.
about as good as regular Fravia's
It
TMR.
should-
So
the
it's
STMR.
not a great option. Not a great option.
Well, you just need to get 4 of her and get the Sword of Kings.
Another thing that's actually, she has like a nethicite thing of nullifying the next spell. That's attached to her magic mitigation thing. The main thing is, I think that would actually be more annoying than useful because almost no bosses do that. I feel like that's more likely to eat your next Kiraja than it is to actually stop the boss from doing anything.
I don't really like it.
Which is worth
that one actually
mentioning.
lasts.
Like, if you're using it for mitigation, then you're also limiting yourself from the first spell cast.
Yeah, or if you're like casting re-raise, it'll eat that. So
That's exciting. She does have 2
Her-
chaining families, so that's exciting. Chaos Wave Awakened and Bolting Strike, which is a much, much better family, and I hope to keep going in that direction.
Her CWA damage is also like really bad.
yeah,
Good.
Her
Basically,
LB is
she's
a
just
thing,
a bolting
though.
strike chainer.
So basically,
Like,
Oh
if-
yeah, she can.
she can also
Her
give
LB
provoke
version.
to an ally.
Oh okay. I didn't even notice that, which shows how much we've paid attention to this unit.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I mean,
speak for yourself. I have been combing through her meticulously all day.
Why?
I kind of
Did you shit her
wonder,
her?
like,
No.
You also looked at her kit.
Like with
Yes.
90% magic mitigation and 65% general mitigation, like is she a viable magic provoke tank?
You're reaching here.
Maybe.
Yeah, we're really,
I
really
guess.
reaching here. I feel like.
I mean that's a lot of effective health.
Yeah. I mean, sure. If you can
Okay.
keep her MP up, and have her use
Yeah.
her
But her
mitigation.
that would be a big
LB. Her LB.
Listen,
Let's
Shadow,
let
we're
Shadow
talking
talk
about
her
other
mediocre
stuff.
limit first.
If everyone's reaching, I want to reach too. And if we're reaching really far, her LB has some decent mods to it, and I think, and it implies to imperil and the magic buff before the damage happens. So it's like one of those things that you could potentially look forward to using.
Yeah, so if you want a dupe-only rotation that's worse with killers and needs STMRs in the first place, then yeah, sure, you can spam her limit burst as well.
There he is.
So,
There he is.
basically, I'm going to say
The dream killer.
Ashe design has the kind of ideas I like to see. The implementation is terrible. So I really wish that Alum and Gumi would look at her kit and do this kind of thing for more damage dealers, but do it better so that the units don't suck.
Although, hold on. What are we really saying? Are we saying the implementation is terrible only because she doesn't reach Kuja levels of damage? Is that what we're saying?
I think if she even did like 3/4 of Kuja's damage, that would be an interesting trade-off. Not necessarily a worthwhile one, but to the point where I wouldn't say this unit is terrible, don't pull for her.
Yeah. No, I mean, obviously
So-
power creep has a big factor here, yeah. But the thing is, I think that Gumi is actually has designed this banner really well. Nobody agrees? Because, like, obviously they're true to the source material. Source material is trash. Banner is trash.
And
That
once
doesn't
again,
really work with the last FF12 banner, though. Like, Vaughn literally broke the game, according to people.
He did not literally break the game. Machina is almost as good, and he was free.
I also want to mention that Ashe has a pretty good STMR. It's a sword that it automatically gives you 25% magic mitigation at the start of battle, which lasts forever. I think it can be dispelled, but otherwise it'll stick around forever. And it gives you the Nethicite ability, which is otherwise kind of a pain to come by.
So you say pull 4 Ashe to put on your Cecil.
No. I'm saying if you
No,
happen
put
to pull
4 Ashe on your
Ashes,
Cecil.
What?
No, just don't ask. Don't ask.
So do we want to move on to Vossler?
Well, I do want to say real quick, she does have Luminescence, which she cannot dual or triple cast because it's just too powerful once again.
But
I-
Luminescence is a physical move with magic damage.
So if you have her dual wield and give up all of her double hand passives, then she can use it twice.
Yeah, this is very powerful. We should build teams around it.
Crappiness for the sake of flavor.
ALM strikes again.
Actually, I have
One
a question.
second.
Why do all of them have a luminescence Ariel Ray chain?
It's some game thing that no one played except Shadow. Shadow, explain it, please.
Yeah.
No, I played it, but I don't remember a single thing of why.
Yeah, that's usually
Which
what
version did
happens
you
with
play?
Final Fantasy 12. Like when you talk
I
to
looked
people,
at the wiki page for it.
and when you talk to people that have
which-
played Final Fantasy 12, they say the same thing as Cotton. They're like, "Yeah, I did play this game, but I remember nothing from it."
Yeah, you just enter a fugue state and you don't remember any of the game. It's a
Hey,
defense mechanism.
Sinzar said he loved the game. That's the only vindication I needed. That's the only opinion that matters.
I will say Balthier is one of my top favorite Final Fantasy characters, but he's also in Final Fantasy Tactics, so I don't need to play 12 to validate him.
Exactly.
Okay, so now we're ready to move on to Vossler.
But
Speaking of characters I don't remember in 12, Vossler, I have no idea who that guy is, and I even went back on the wiki and read who he is and still don't remember.
Yeah, maybe Shadow can give us some lore because like you're the only one that remembers the
Vossler
game.
showed up.
he's the traitor.
Vossler
He's the
showed
guy
up right
who-
around the time that I stopped playing Final Fantasy 12.
Oh.
This was
So what
before I got
happens-
bored and checked out.
What happens in the game is that he's part of the resistance, just like Ashe and Bosch are. But before Bosch was freed from prison, he basically led the resistance. But at a certain point, he became a senile old man, or not. He just became senile and betrayed Ashe with some weird reasons. Even people that love FF12 can't love
But
Voss.
I remember nothing of this. Wait, when does this happen in the story?
Right before right after you fight Demon Wall.
I can tell you why you don't remember Barrows. It's because every single character in Final Fantasy 12 is boring as fuck.
Yeah.
So would you say he's about as relevant as Wrestler?
No, he has much more time than Wrestler because he actually the amount of dialogue that he has is not high, but the interaction, the time that he spends in your party is really high. Because I think if we're taking gameplay, like he spends at least 5 hours as a guest in your
Wait,
party.
what the fuck? He spends time in your
Which is
party.
funny because Wrestler and Rex both die pretty quickly right in the beginning of the game, and I remember them vividly in comparison to Vossler.
Yeah, me too. Okay, listen.
That's
and
because
you might
when
be
you
thinking-
first get
started playing.
when you first get Vossler as a guest character, he's always slightly more level than your party, and he's always your fourth guest character because you can only control up to 3 characters. The fourth one is reserved for a guest. Vossler is your strongest before you get Lars later on into the game. So you would have spent significant amount of time with Vossler probably.
But I mean, I played this game recently. I replayed Final Fantasy XII with the Zodiac edition that came out not that long ago. I still don't remember this unit. Like, I'm not even trying to be funny.
How can you not remember him?
Veros, again, it's self-defense. When you first start playing Final Fantasy XII, your brain hasn't shut down yet, so you remember the characters from the beginning. But then you get a few hours in, and you just go through the game and you don't remember anything, because if you did, you would die.
But it's so weird. I even remember Zargabath. Like Zargabath has like what 5
Well,
seconds.
Zargabath
of
has
screen time.
personality.
Yeah,
All
but
right,
also
because Zargabath tries to drive a freaking spaceship.
I can
into
tell you why. It's because Zargabath looks exactly the same as 5 other characters.
yeah, it's just mixing them all up in my brain. No, but it's
Hey, Drace was kind of cool. Let's be honest. Drace was kind of cool.
Well, but Drace has less screen time than Vossler does, though.
yeah, but
She
who the
has
fuck? Like,
some
okay, and now I need to look
Okay.
up Vossler's like actual in-game sprite. Maybe I'll remember him.
You know, people were actually complaining about this in the thread. Let's talk about the actual unit.
Whoa, no. They said we wanted to spend dedicated time to each unit. We are dedicating time to Vossler. I'm not sure who he is, but we are dedicating time to
now we're
him.
talking about, like, Drace and Zargabath.
Well, okay,
He's
but
not wrong.
it makes sense that you guys remember Drace and Zargabath because those guys have actual personalities. Vossler's personality isn't present in the story. He's there with your party for about 5 hours as you cross the Ogriense Sand Sea. But the only thing you remember from the Sand Sea is how fucking large it is, not how great Vossler is.
I mean, I just
let's
actually
talk
looked
about
at his
Vossler.
3D sprite and nope, doesn't ring a bell. Like, seriously.
He looks like.
All right,
Bosch's
so let's
stunt
actually talk
double.
about Vossler.
Yeah, okay, let's actually talk about the unit. Sorry, Hazard.
I
Let's
pulled for him.
So what you're saying,
He's a
Muscle.
magic tank, by the way.
So what you're saying is he's our Gabranth replacement because he looks just like Bosch.
Yes.
I pulled for him and I use him.
It's a
Today.
deep cut. It's a deep cut. I'll understand if you guys don't get this one.
So he
All right,
he has
so Vossler is a magic tank, and he is a magic tank who is worse than Cecil. Again,
Cotton was just ignored. Go ahead.
Go
Cotton is
ahead,
trying
Cotton.
to be nice and not being the train, and we all ignore her. That's
actually,
terrible.
you know what? I will say something that will make Cotton happy.
stop laughing.
Just to apologize. Vossler is a magic tank who is better than Chao.
Oof.
Oh,
All right,
wait!
here
No,
she
that
comes.
doesn't
Take
make her
that
happy.
back,
I just
Marcel.
realized. I got that backwards.
No, but
Shit.
Vossler is a magic tank who is very, very confused because he has a magic cover skill, but he also has some physical damage skills, and he also has a physical cover, a 7% physical cover, because why not? Right? Why not?
Yeah, he kind of
What-
has
what-
like Seaguard treatment over there. Like he can like, protect you once.
Vossler is
Oh
one
yeah,
of
he
those
also has
units where-
150% true double hand, because attack true double hand, because again, why not?
Vossler is one of those units like White Knight Noel, where he was clearly designed by committee, and what you want to do is ignore about half of his kit, and what's left is good. But a lot
Yeah,
of
he's
the
got
stuff there
luminescence
is
in there, so
completely
that's
useless.
something.
Wait, why does he
Okay,
have
can I talk-
luminescence?
I mean-
Can he join into the like
You
LB
could have a whole
spam?
party of AR chains.
Please
yeah.
stop asking questions that give Shado an excuse to talk about Final Fantasy XII.
All right, I have a legitimate question about his kit, and it's sword parrying. Now, this is a chance to protect all allies from physical damage. It's only a 7% chance, but with damage mitigation, 100% damage mitigation for 2 turns. Okay, so I know we talk about the percent chance, like for example, his regular old magic cover is an 80% chance to mitigate damage, 50 to 70%. So this is only a 7% chance. But doesn't it activate for each unit? So it's actually a somewhat decent
it's
chance.
checked per other unit.
So it
In
comes out to
practice,
about
the 7%
30%?
is about 30, yeah.
Yeah.
30%. Okay. So this is interesting. I wonder what you could use this for, because this seems like a very RNG based cover.
Reset mechanics, yay.
You could technically use this in rare situations, but it would be very inconsistent, and I would not ever want to make a strat that relies on it.
Especially as with like a regular physical tank with evade, dare I say it, around these two, but that basically gives you a 100% damage mitigation physical cover with 100% activation chance.
So hear me out.
for the
Why not get 6 Vossler? And every turn, you use 2 of those cooldowns or 3 of those cooldowns, and just rotate, and you might never take any physical damage. It's basically like the new evasion.
and then they just get wiped by
This
magic.
is some big brain fucking strats, okay?
Thank you.
Okay,
I need to deal damage too. I mean, that might work. Yeah, just get
He has
6
150% TDH for a reason. Okay, now this all makes sense.
Right, so 2 of them cover, and the rest of them have triple cast physical damage with, bolting strike frames. Yeah, he's gonna run his own show.
So he's the
That's what he's gonna
ultimate
do.
whale bait. He is so whale bait, you need like 6 of them to actually make a decent team. But then, when you actually do, you're immune to physical damage. Wow, that's
I
actually...
feel like we should talk about the ways that you would actually use him.
You mean you
I
wouldn't
mean,
actually use
I-
6
okay.
of them?
I was
All right, thanks, Dream.
I was going to say what you really need to do is put black belt on them and then revive the strategy of counter tanks.
Oh, yes.
I mean, but let's be honest. If you're looking for a magic tank, Charlotte is just enhanced. Charlotte is better. Okay, for heaven's sake, she has even better cover mitigation than him. Okay, like an all unit.
So the problem that Vossler has is that he's a few months too late. If he had come out 3 months ago, he would be fantastic. He would still be the second best magic tank in the game, but decent enough to the point that new players might want to pull for him.
And Muspel.
But right now he's competing with Charlotte, and he's worse at support than she is. And he's competing with Cecil, and everybody loses to Cecil. And he's competing with the Free Lightning, and he's got more party support than her, but
she was free.
But she was free. So... And
Yes,
Sacred
but she's from a worse game.
And Sacred Shield Charlotte was just free if you got her from the Next Era token exchange thing. So... I don't know who this banner is for, other than
Shado.
the 2...
Shado.
Well, aside from the one person that played Final Fantasy XII, I don't know who this banner is for.
I honestly don't like how they didn't fix Vossler. Like, Gumi had a chance. They didn't need to do a lot. There's a lot of good ideas in this kit, and they just needed to just fix that a bit, and he would have been so much better. And I wouldn't have, felt as bad pulling for him, but alas, I did anyways.
Hey, Shado, what would you like him to do?
I think Vossler is the kind of unit that could be improved a lot with enhancements, because there's good ideas in his kit, they just need to be less shit.
I think also that his STMR, like, it kind of needs to be talked about, because if you're going to use a greatsword, as a TDH greatsword, his STMR is probably one of the best in terms of, like, the amount of bulk you're getting. It's fucking fantastic. 100 SPR and then an additional 20% SPR with 25% human killer.
The problem there, though, is that a lot of TDH units these days don't use Greatsword. They want something with the 1.5x variance.
Doesn't Envy Cloud use TDH Greatsword in one of his forms? I think it's base form, and then his Brave shit is TDW or something.
Yeah, there's a few that still use Greatsword just from limited gear options.
It could potentially be better, though, to use an equip item and then something else, but it'll depend on your gear, I think.
I mean, if you're forced to use a TDH Greatsword, I think this is one of the better ones, just because of the amount of bulk on it.
But it has less EPing than Cloud.
Yeah, I think probably the only one that competes with this is Aldor King Reigns.
Oh, well, Aldor King Reigns is a bit weird. Yeah, I guess TDH, I guess.
Yeah, I like the fact that it frees up space for, like, killers or more HP or whatever.
So this, so technically this banner is quite creative in its creation. Like, there are some interesting units on the banner, but they do fall a bit short of the meta, right?
Yeah, a bit short is a bit of an understatement.
Well, okay, I don't want to overstate how bad Ashe is, I guess, because I still say we're comparing her to Kuja, and
I mean, I don't think it's unfair to compare a unit to a unit whose banner is literally still going on.
No, but it's like it's a huge spike. That's my point. Like Dab, Fina, and Kuja signify this huge spike. None of the other units get close. Although you could say like a new unit should be close, but yeah.
But that's a problem of Alum and Gumi's own making.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's gotten a bit worse with the schedule shifts as well, because I think Ashe was before Kuja in JP by a week or two.
All right, Shado mentioned something a little bit earlier that he wished there was a couple things that they could have changed with Vossler's kit when he came over to the global side to make him better. And then Muspel kind of said something similar. So what would you guys have wanted them to change to make him worthy of pulling?
I would probably try to give him a specialty compared to the other tanks. So if you want him to compete with Cecil, I might crank up his magic mitigation to 45% or something.
I think there's his spammable gen mid is 40%. That's not bad. In fact, it's probably in the higher end considering before NV comes around. Spammable 40% gen mid is actually not that common, and it's his gen mid and his magic mid are on the same move. So that potential move has I think if they raised it by I don't know 5% for magic mid or even, that would have been probably a good thing to do. And the other thing is his breaks. His breaks are 65%, and I think if they increase the attack and mag breaks and the defense SPR boosts a bit.
I think if they made the on-demand break maybe 70% and gave him maybe 70% on demand and then 75% for 4 turns on his LB.
Yeah. His LB is also really good too.
It bothers me is that he has the 65% breaks for attack and magic, but it's only for 1 turn, and it also removes all status effects. So it's I don't know. It's pretty what is it called? Move economy intensive to be able to keep that up. And 65% is kind of just a little bit too little nowadays.
I was kind of looking at him as a way to do something like AI Katie, where he's a tank and a breaker, but dispelling your imperils every turn, and the breaks are only 65%, which is even worse than Katie's, which are already kind of showing their age, and it's not worth it.
I think Barrows wants to add something.
Yeah, I was thinking, so we've gotten a couple of these units now that are a tank, but also have a secondary damage roll. We've seen it in Viktor Marchenko, and we've seen it in a couple more. Gladio kind of tried to do this way back in the day.
Elfrida.
Yeah, Elfrida. That's true.
Well, Demon Rain.
But here's the problem. All of them have had the same problem as Vossler, which is kind of that their damage is absolute shit, but also that which is much more important to me, their kits are not compatible. So I would have loved to see Vossler's cover move and mitigation move and maybe even break move actually have chains on them, so that he gets this niche of, hey, you're actually chaining while doing the things that your tank is supposed to be doing, which would open up for some maybe very interesting compositions where you would bring just one strong chainer and also a finisher, for instance, in a standard comp.
So basically free support chaining. Support chaining that doesn't eat into what your
exactly
be doing.
But of course he
kind of like what Machina provides as a breaker, I guess, because all of his breaks have his bolting strike chains.
I would love to see something like that, and of course that should come at a cost of, hey, you're not as good as Cecil, right? Because you're bringing something else to the table. I would have loved to see that.
I don't want to. I don't like plugging this, but Envy Gabronth has. What they did with Envy Gabronth is actually really interesting because they made him into another defensive scaling tank. So he's a physical tank with defensive scaling, but his defensive scaling modifiers are 108, 93. So the ALM at one point was okay, fine, we're gonna try this again, but we're just gonna give him big dick modifiers and see how that works out.
You know what? I think I figured out what happened. I think Vossler was planned to be an Envy unit, and he was going to have a Brave Shift where he turned into a DPS unit. And then they needed a unit to fill a banner, so they pushed him out early before Envy. So he has this weird bastardized kit with both the Envy and normal kits, and it makes no goddamn sense.
You know who they could have used in that slot? Say it with me, guys.
CG Ramza.
CG Marchie.
Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, we could use a banner for them too.
Look,
I wouldn't mind.
He even has a skill that uses his LB gauge. That was going to be his Brave Shift LB.
Okay, can we... So I know I mentioned earlier the sword pairing is kind of a new thing we've seen for that 100% damage mitigation, but he has another cooldown that's also a new thing, which is he mitigates damage taken against humans by 10%. They really worded it weirdly in the wiki.
Well, against humans is new, but against a race is not new. We got that from the Behemoth Travel reward.
right. I was in. Yeah, this is the first time we've seen it in a kit though, which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
And 10% seems like really, really kind of pathetic. But
I'm not even sure.
am I
Does this
to say?
stack with regular magic mitigation? And is it
Yeah, it does,
Yes, it does. It's a
That's
separate
why it's
mitigation on top of it.
okay?
Yeah, but even if he has the 10% human mitigation, like, is it worth using him over someone like Charlotte if you're trying to tank damage against a
Yeah,
human type enemy?
it's too minor.
no,
Not really.
it has to be
I'm
like
guessing
30%
this was just them
something.
testing out the mechanic. They'll probably try to push it more with future units, but
I mean, they did. Envy Charlotte is basically that with
Yeah,
demons.
she
and-
pushes it quite
she,
a lot.
she basically does it much better.
I think Daisy introduced it on JP though, but at sort of similar 10 to 15% levels. So they were sort of trying not to creep it too much, but it wasn't that useful. So I guess because it's for specific races, they've then with Charlotte decided that they can push it more heavily because it's still kind of niche.
This
yeah.
banner is
Charlotte or Daisy also had an AoE though, which was a lot better.
Oh right, his is self only.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of bad.
this banner is such like a weird. It's almost as if whoever made these units don't know how FFBE works.
It's just
Almost.
lukewarm.
It's almost like the person.
That's not literally what happened.
Only almost.
It's almost like the person who made Final Fantasy XII didn't know how video games work, so I guess it fits.
I mean,
That
like I
doesn't
said
make
earlier,
any
I
sense.
just, man, Aleem, I just don't know what they're doing. I don't think they know what they're doing. They're so bad
there
at this.
are ideas here in both of these units that I like, but the execution is just really lacking, and they're not doing
just
enough.
awful. Which comes
Isn't that
back to
Aleem in a
bad
nutshell?
management. Well, it comes down to bad management. Whoever is managing, whoever is rubber stamping these things to go into production is at fault here, because there's no way this stuff could reach the production floor without someone looking at this and saying, "Yeah, this looks good." And if they're doing that, they're idiots. I just don't get it.
Well, realistically, when you're on a weekly release schedule, like for any game, that's borderline unsustainable while maintaining quality. We're gonna get shit banners from time to time, no matter what. I just wish that when they had a unit that had promise and interesting design like these, that they would shift something else more boring out for a week and then polish these units up and give them to us when they're actually good.
Yeah.
It does make me wonder whether we get. Maybe that's why we get such interesting GLEX units, because they have much more time to design them.
I mean, that's probably the case.
Well, and we get so many boring damage dealers that are copy pasted from other ones that, to Muswell's point, I mean, it seems like they either just don't have time or they just don't have the manpower to do it. But man, it's hard to see. It's just hard to see this happen.
Doesn't Alem technically have 10 days between release instead of 7?
Yeah.
Yeah, about
But
that.
still,
Yeah, roughly.
like this is MMOs, but like when I play MMOs, I see a lot of new games that launch that promise updates every month, and none of them are able to keep to it, and that's every month. Now, granted, MMOs are harder to develop for, but 10 days is pretty crazy.
If you're going to do that, though, then you need to hire the manpower to be able to produce that kind of thing and produce it in an effective way.
Yeah, but
Otherwise,
that's
you're
just
just
wasting
Hazard
you're
has a
making
point.
enough money to support a development team of that size. So
They're raking.
No.
They've been raking in cash for years, though. Like they've got enough money. It's my theory is that the money that they're making is being diverted to other projects, other things. It's not just staying within
War Divisions.
FFBE. No, I doubt that's. I mean, other new projects. I'm sure part of it has gone to that to start up new projects, but
Besides, we
It's-
still
I'm
don't know
pretty sure
what
War
type
of
of
the
licensing deal FFBE has and how much it costs Gumi to kind of have the Final Fantasy name either. So
Pretty sure War Divisions can supply itself. They don't need the income from FFB to sustain it.
no, but it's
this
an
point.
investment to develop it. Like I mean,
Oh, it's true. Yeah, but now it should be good enough to bank itself, I guess. Bankroll itself. I do have a question regarding schedule, though. Like I mentioned this before, but so we're clearly skipping story events. Story events are a JP exclusive by this point. So if we're skipping story events and
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to fix that.
and we're doing MK Raid basically, or MK Boss Rush, MK Raid. So next week, I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be another 5-star guaranteed. Was that next week or was that 2 weeks from now?
It is
forget.
next week.
Next week is
It
another
is
Mob
next
King.
week, so it's another Mob King next week, and there aren't any more left.
okay. But
So-
there's Mod King and Item World we're due for, and DV we're due for, and that's going to be way too much to do in a week
Oh,
with
yeah.
the
Oh, boy.
raid on the second week of a raid.
And it's the second week of the raid.
Look at all these
But
things
what
to pull NV Cloud for.
What I'm curious about is that if it's NV next week, which could, but I don't think it would, does that mean we skip Dagger and Ico? Because that's the only raid thing left, if I remember correctly.
We still have the collab raids, don't we? Are we missing some collab raids?
We're not.
I mean,
we're gonna assume that we
but
don't
there's
get
no
collabs though.
There's no way how to tell like what ones we're actually due for and what ones.
Dragon Quest.
Yeah.
So enough collab raids can really be
Dragon
due.
Quest. We do need Dragon Quest.
Oh, God.
At least it's not poop.
So,
But yeah, with schedule wise, like because sort of Dagger's the focus of the banner and is a healer, like that could still be after an NV launch, which would be weird, but okay. But the thing that's sort of making me think that wouldn't be the case is the whole like soon coin shop updating every week for the next 3 weeks, and that just like kind of screams like unit shards for whatever the weekly banner is.
So
gosh.
To me,
I think that the last week of the Soon coins is going to be, they're going to add like Cactuars and Guild Hurdles, so you spend your leftover coins on that. I hope I'm wrong, but that's what I think it's going to be.
But I mean, Sinzar explained this as well, that this was the JP release where they slowly add stuff to this coin shop, and it's kind of topped off by the NV unit materials when the NV units are released. So this is the ramp up. Like soon, TM, they're going to release NV materials in this shop, and that's what you're going to spend for.
So,
we'll see very soon with
Yeah.
the live stream, I
mean,
but
guess.
chances are Envy will come either next week or the first week September, most likely, isn't it?
And I honestly, I'm just wondering, do they think people are excited for this? Like, are people excited for this?
It'd be hard to say.
Some people.
I think I'm excited in the sense that there's a new thing coming, but I'm also dreading how they're gonna do the step ups. Like, I really like the 12k and the 25 step up thing that we have, but in JP it took them a bit to give players a safety net. So what I'm scared is how they're gonna try creating a worse step up from this to get the MV units.
So,
I'd say I'm cautiously interested.
okay. Oh, we could talk about this, later. But I do want to say something about a new trial that got released this week that I think is well done. And I really like the first one. It's Shinryu. And now we got Scorn of Shinryu right after we got Behemoth last week. And this one has been a really interesting trial. I haven't gotten to beat it yet. I did a little test run earlier today. But I haven't beat it yet. I hope I will by the time this podcast actually is heard by anybody. But I wanted to talk about this for a few minutes and see what you guys think about this new trial. Because Shinryu was one I really liked when it first came out. It had the roulette of death mechanic that I thought was interesting. And I think at the time I said it was kind of fun that RNG killed a unit that you had to recover and handle that kind of unexpected, delay in your tactics. So I want to see what you guys thought of this new version.
I haven't done it yet, but I'm looking at the wiki. I'm not thrilled with it. It brings back or introduces a lot of mechanics that I really don't like. It brings back fixed attacks as the source of almost all the AoE damage. So there's you can't use type mitigation for that.
Basically, fuck your type
And it has,
mitigation.
I think Dream said that it was the most annoying possible iteration of death. Like Behemoth was the interesting one where it happened to every single slot, but it happened predictably and you could gear to resist it on some slots that were too vital for you to lose. Shinryu is always random, it dispels, and it can't be resisted. So if it kills your tank, you need redundancy for your magic tank, because otherwise if your magic tank dies, that's it. So you have to bring 2 magic tanks, but you might not need the second one. And that feels frustrating when you end up bringing a unit that is completely unnecessary because you got lucky.
So that's why you bring Vossler.
I don't like the randomness of this trial. Because, death is one of the few things that isn't, random as to when he uses it. It's at least controllable via threshold, even if it is unresistible and random target. But, pretty much, a lot of his other attacks, it's random which ones he uses per turn. I think he does a max of 5 of them picked from a pool. And I don't like the randomness of it, because you can just, if you're unlucky, just get wiped kind of regardless if you get hit by triple tail or if there's an Almagest in there.
Fuck
I
Triple
don't
Tail.
know exactly whether that... Can he combine Almagest and Tails, or does Almagest use its own turn? I'm not actually sure.
I'm not sure
I think
either,
he-
actually.
Because, yeah, I haven't had a chance to fight it yet either. It's only
I think if
been
he uses
out for a
Almagest,
day
it
and I've been
doesn't use
busy.
Tails. So far from what I've seen.
Okay,
Shinryu also uses
that's something.
Zombie, which is a mechanic that I don't really like. I understand why they tried Zombie, because they wanted to make it so that healers didn't just trivialize all damage that you took if you survived it, but I think it's one of the worst possible ways they could have done that. I would have rather that Zombie just, like, reduced healing that you took by 95% or something, so it was really, really hard to heal that unit, but they didn't just die as soon as you healed them.
Yeah, I mean, I was listening to the episode from last week, and I remember listening to a part about Behemoth K and how Barrows didn't like Behemoth K because you could, prepare for everything, and you could just go on autopilot afterwards. Well, Barrows, this is your fucking trial.
No, I said
Everything
that
is
last
random.
episode as well. I heard that Shinryu does have a bit of it, but there are still some of the mechanics, just like Muspel said, that bother me in the Shinryu trial. However, if I had to choose, I would have definitely chosen Shinryu over Behemoth, because here I actually have to think and use my roster. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think this one's going to be a more challenging fight than Behemoth was. Behemoth was challenging in the setup portion, as we talked about. But if you had the right setup and a really, really well-geared magic tank, it was really predictable. Whereas Shinryu, I feel like you can have a great setup and still get kind of blown out of the water or have a random person die. I like it personally, as I said in the beginning of this, I like it personally because you can't prepare for everything. You have to be able to think on the fly. And those are trials that I enjoy more in the first place. Like, I really liked the Skeleton King one because it was like just, there was some RNG in it. And I know a lot of people hated that. But it's kind of fun. Like, I kind of like wiping sometimes,
For me, I liked it with the first Shinryu trial. For this, it feels different. And I think the difference is the tuning. Because with the first Shinryu trial, the boss used roulette, but aside from that, wasn't very threatening. But this time we've got a boss that just does absolutely massive AoE damage.
Yeah,
and if he
that
kills a
gets...
unit and you raise that unit again, you might not be able to buff them so that they survive.
Yeah, I was actually caught in a death race loop halfway through the fight. Like, that wasn't fun.
Yeah, I think if you're going to do this kind of mechanic, you need to make sure that it's possible to recover, and it doesn't feel like Shinryu is designed around that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you have a fight that can kill your magic tank, then the fight also needs to have AI that lets you recover from not having magical cover on the next turn, right? Because if that's otherwise a hard requirement, you shouldn't be forced to bring 2 magic tanks, because that's just silly. Unless it's Vossler, I guess, who actually can do this properly.
It's a bad way of making it hard.
And then what I don't like about Shinryu again is it's not just your random target deaths flying around, you also have random target zombie. And it's like, you can actually get roulette and zombie on the same turn on 2 different units. If it hits both your tanks, it's gonna be a guaranteed wipe the next turn.
Yeah.
And random target petrify.
Yeah, so listeners, if you're struggling with this trial, the best tip that people have been sharing in the Discord as well is just to wait for NV Tifa, because she OTKs this shit. And NV Tifa should technically be around the corner, like maybe even next
come
week.
on. All right, don't
Around
do
the corner,
that.
like 6-star Ramza.
No. I'm giving people a way out. Listen, if there are people here that are listening and that are frustrated today, they think that this trial is utter bullshit and should never have worked this way, just wait for NV and you'll be saved.
Dream, you had something to say?
I was to say, for the record, even MVT for still needs like a reasonably intensive setup to OTK this, because it sort of doesn't feel like it looking at clears, but Shinryu is actually slightly bulkier than Behemoth. It's just being single race and not having to worry about evasion means you can gear a bit more
Not
offensively.
necessarily if you need to
but,
gear for
like,
magic EHP to actually survive in the first place.
Yeah, there's still the bulk element, but in HP and defense and spirit, Shinryu's actually slightly bulkier than Behemoth, so it's not exactly going to be easy to OTK even with
But let's
Tifas.
be honest. I mean, OTK
But
feels
if you-
good when you get a new unit and you OTK a trial that's 3 months old. But I really like, doing the trial with the units at the time it was released. It's the most challenge. It's the most fun for me, and I think you should definitely try it. I mean, if you don't beat it, that's fine. Wait until you've got a better setup. But I really like Shinryu that it makes you deal with the mechanics. And so OTK is really boring that you just get to skip all this fun stuff. And I say fun, but as you said, it's like the zombie, the petrify, the random death. But those are what make a fight hard and fun, and it makes every experience like a unique one. So maybe I'm just too optimistic about this, but I think it's a great idea.
As much as
Have
I
you
like
actually
this
tried
fight,
Shinryu Hazard?
What?
Have you actually tried Shinryu Hazard?
As I said in the beginning, I gave it a test run. I got through like 10 or 15 turns, but I didn't make one of my units bulky enough. It was my breaker, and so I had to stop. But I'm going to retry it with a different team.
I want to say,
I do get.
as much as I hate this trial, there is one thing about it that it does in which it's way, way better than Behemoth, which is that it doesn't have fucking break resist.
True.
Shadow?
I was gonna add that I do understand where Hazard's coming from. There are a lot of trials in this game where it's mostly just autopilot shit, and Barros mentioned it last week too. I completely understand that aspect, but there's also the other end of the spectrum where everything is fucking random.
Yeah.
That there's no way you could prepare for it except bringing two of the same things, and it feels redundant.
No, exactly. I mean, I'm not saying Shinryu did it right. I'm just saying that this is a type of a different trial that I do prefer more, but I would have liked it to be better done than this.
I think it's interesting.
Yeah, like
Okay, sorry.
I would.
Go to
I was just saying, I would say if we saw Shinryu with say like 2 tails max instead of 3, and the death roulette being resistible, even if it still had the dispel, then that would be more
Yeah,
fun.
that would be perfect, actually.
The fight is salvageable with a few tweaks. Maybe if they also did something about the zombie and the petrify, because those can also be a bit obnoxious. Like, they can still
Zombie?
replace them with
Move
nasty
We just need-
mechanics, but maybe not those ones specifically.
I mean,
think-
there is one way to deal with zombie. Pull for Kalmia, who is absolutely useless other than her zombie kill.
She's really not that bad, but yeah, we don't have ways to counter zombie yet, which sort of makes it feel bad as a mechanic to use against us.
Well, this does give you the opportunity to use a lot of units that have overlap. So this is a perfect trial for someone like Sylvie or even Cecil, people who do multiple roles pretty well that can overlap. Like the team I'm planning to use for it is Dr. Aiden, Sylvie, Sacred Shield Charlotte. I think I'm going to use Kryla as my breaker. I'm not 100% sure. And then I'm going to use...
pro strat?
Can I
Emperor Fu as your
finish
breaker,
my
because he can
sentence?
apply magic cover to someone else.
Just wanted to finish my sentence.
And why did you think I would let you do that?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Muspel had a
Maybe I
perfect
just got-
situation to plug Emperor Fu, and you thought you would finish. Classic noob mistake.
And you,
I guess I
and you
just
say,
got
"I
used to
am
you
the
not being
cotton
here last
train."
week. And I was like, oh, I could finish sentences in episode 28. And I, for once.
For once.
Anyways, my last 2 units were going to be the War of the Visions Gilgamesh, because I think he can gear really bulkily for this fight. So,
But why are you running
a lot
without
of
a
those
healer,
units-
Hazard?
well, Dr. Aiden and Sylvie have a lot of overlap with dealing with raising people up and removing petrify and that kind of stuff and buffs. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes, but I think it's going to be fun. I'm going to enjoy it.
I mean,
I like hard content if it's permanent.
Yeah.
This is permanent content, so it doesn't matter if I don't beat it day one.
Exactly.
I can work on it.
one of my biggest gripes with
So-
Shinryu, though, as a mechanic, is that you can have the lucky run. Like, it's absolutely possible that you just boot up Shinryu first time and you just get a good run. And you just destroy it, and you don't really experience a lot of the mechanics either. Or a lot of the problems with the mechanics, I'm going to say.
Sure.
Cotton, you had something to say?
She forgot
No one
now.
has anything to say.
Cotton is playing Sino Alice,
Well, I
Guild
was
versus Guild.
No, I was expecting another train of some sort to start rolling over, so I was just patiently waiting for the train to pass.
You were waiting at the station, patiently, yeah.
Nothing?
I-
Alright.
Full steam ahead.
No, I guess I just wanted to say what team I use, which is because I'm going to use this opportunity to plug Chow.
Oh,
So I use Charlotte as my first magic tank, Rena as my healer, and I use Chow as my backup magic tank / healer just in case either Charlotte or Rena got death or
So
What?
this is the
got
perfect
hit with
trial
death
for
or
you
hit with
to bring a useless
Yes.
second tank.
well, Chow
Oi!
actually has a perfect I mean, he's kind of like Vossler in that he actually has a role in this trial. He can heal really well if he like.
He can tank, he can heal. Yeah. Yes. If Charlotte was dead or a zombie, and zombie was bad for me because I practically had be raised up the whole time, so a zombie is an instant kill. If Charlotte died.
It only took a year and a half, but Xiao finally has a chance to be kind of useful on one fight.
Kind of. Take that back, Marcel. Take that back.
Cotton, I'm really happy for you. I hope you and Chow are very happy together.
I mean, speaking of tanks with dual roles, maybe Muspel should use AI Katie.
I'm surprised he didn't. Yeah, why
I
didn't
think
he use
Rem-
AI Katie?
I haven't tried the trial yet. I'm still waiting for the full data mine to go up on the wiki, because it just has the thresholds, not the regular turns.
I think Rem would be great for this.
Basically everything random, have fun.
Yeah, I've heard Rem as a candidate for this trial. Zenaida, obviously a good candidate for the trial. Kuja as well.
I mean, Kuja really, because his dude is made of paper.
No, but he has enough damage, so you kill it faster, which means you spend less time with the RNG.
Yeah, so
like my Ace and Ram kill took exactly 25 turns.
Also, dragons are a pretty reasonable enemy race for mages because of Draco Spike.
Yep.
Yeah.
Draco Spike, man.
Basically, you can spend more slots than average on bulk for him, and he'll still
Yeah, but that doesn't say much when his base HP is like 2,000. Like I saw Kuja with 5k HP, and I'm like, whoa, is this a 4-star unit?
Well,
Wait,
people
what?
don't know how to gear.
I mean, that sounds like an unleveled, unpotted
Yeah,
creature.
Kuja's base HP is 4,500 at 7-star. Why are you looking at Barros?
The lowest I've
No,
seen
I'm
is
just-
like 8,
the
9K.
2k was a joke, but I mean, he is made of paper.
Hey, his health is over 9,000.
Ah,
I get this one
sometimes.
sometimes.
Somebody's got it.
I thought we wanted a short episode this week.
We're under an hour. We can end here.
So we do want to say that there is live stream coming on Sunday afternoon / evening, or whatever time zone you're in. That'll depend. / Monday for some people. But some of us will be holding a live stream, like watching the live stream and reacting to it in real time on our Discord server. So if you guys want to join us, please do. It'd be really fun to hear my excitement in real time.
Or lack of, I guess.
Yes, and this
Or
is
like
Hazard's excited voice.
Excitement in air
So,
quotes.
I want to end this episode by saying that when I posted this week's Wiki Ratings update thread, some people were really surprised and even angry to hear that I hadn't played Final Fantasy IX. But as of yesterday, I've started playing a certain PlayStation JRPG, and I'm enjoying it a lot so far, and I really think that Tales of Xillia is a good game.
9 is a lot of fun, though. You should play it one day.
It is. Nowadays, also, like, most platforms have the enhanced edition, which also lets you, like, because the Final Fantasy formula of 10 years ago is a bit dated, does let you, like, skip fights, do, like, fast forwards, etc., so that's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Fast forward in
There was
my
a
Final
comment I saw
Fantasy.
that, that was like,
heresy.
Cotton.
once the cotton train passes. There was a comment I saw there, was well, if you install this mod that updates the graphics and completely changes the gameplay, then it's a really good game.
Yeah,
In this case, it's...
Wasn't
In this
that
case-
I
Veros
do
who
have
said
something
that?
to say about Final Fantasy in series as general, but I think that's more suitable for the after talk. So I'll tease you for that one.
Wasn't it Barrows who said that Final Fantasy VIII is great as long as you skip the entire game?
No, I said Final Fantasy VIII is great if you skip its biggest gripe. Because, okay, let's talk about this in the other talk. No, it's the fucking draw mechanic, which sucks balls, but yeah.
So the
Which is the
gameplay?
game.
No! Okay, the game actually has really good gameplay. It's just that the draw mechanic sucks, okay?
Oh, before we end, I wanted to add this when we were talking about Kusha, but then I lost my train of thought because there was another fucking train going by. But anyways, can I interject now? Is it too late?
It's too late.
It-
Go home.
Oh,
This will be in the after talk, everybody.
Just
If you want
say
to
it.
hear Shadow's musings, you'll have to join our Discord.
I'll say it's about envy units. But we'll talk about it on the after talk. Yeah.
All right, I will say it for 9 though. The mod, the reason it makes the game better is because you can max abilities and levels, so it just removes the grinding portion of the game.
it kind of defeats the whole
Well,
RPG
well,
purpose.
you still
purpose,
you still
isn't it?
can do the gameplay, but I'm saying if you just want to enjoy the story, you can turn those on and be able to do that. And it's a great story.
It is.
If you're not.
It is. No, don't do that. It is a great story. It is a really fun game, and if you're the type of zoomer that can't spend time on a JRPG, I understand, and that's why you should get the Steam version and just steamroll through it.
You have such terrible taste in stories.
I mean, come on. Final Fantasy IX is endearing. It's like playing a fairy tale.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
Okay, but that's a
Okay,
taste
so
thing.
we want to end the podcast before an hour
Yes.
passes by, so I'm just gonna...
Speaking of fairy
Cut people
tales,
off.
we're gonna end our.
Thank you for
our
watching the
podcast.
global. Thank you for listening to the Global Exclusive Podcast. Please listen to the afterthought if you want to hear more of us bickering and etc. See you guys at the live stream.